Hello, everyone. All right, thanks for, before I initiate my talk, I want to thank Rafael for inviting me to the event. It was at last minute, so really thanks for that. And also, I just wanted to tell you a little bit more about myself and what am I doing right now in the crypto world. So basically what I'm doing in the blockchain space, I'm involved in several advisors, in several ICOs, including Crypterium, as an advisor, where I help basically bring value to these companies in terms of presenting, introducing strategic investors, partners, also relations with the crypto exchange for utility tokens. And also, more recently, I've been doing events in New York, London, and Tel Aviv, in where I gather a small group of investors, 20 plus investors, so they can show the ICOs I've been working, or projects in general. I've been working to basically, pitch the idea, and it's quite private. So if you're interested in that, please do let me know after I talk. So I will be happy to help you, whether in your ICO or in the dinners or the exchange. I'm happy to help. Off the chain, off the blockchain, what I'm doing is I got my own company, which is called Mobiletourlife, which we make AI solutions to the enterprise, basically in the chatbot space and robo-advisors. And we do also a little bit of gaming solutions for the same enterprise we are working. So that's outside the blockchain space, so happy to help if you need any of those areas. We can talk later. So right now, I wanted to talk a little bit in this short talk, these 20 minutes, about how do I see this new token model economy, starting with Bitcoin, actually, because it's the first try to make something really, really disruptive. Because always my friends joke with me and say to me, these people that are not in the blockchain space, they say to me, okay, but why not use PayPal rather than Bitcoin, right? Because I got it, no? So basically what I say to this kind of people that are beginning to understand this is basically with Bitcoin and the blockchain, we are eliminating the third parties. So that's key to the next move, right? So because PayPal and Airbnb and Facebook are still centralized, not decentralized. So Bitcoin is the first try. I will talk about other as well, but Bitcoin is the first tried and successful one that is doing that, eliminating the third party, which is a protocol that gains trust between both parties. So that's the first try. It's not perfect Bitcoin, I understand that, but it's still a great technology. Obviously, we have Ethereum, and we will have new blockchains coming soon, which are faster and more, scalable. That's fine, but at the end, what I'm trying to see is that what we're seeing right now actually is that state and money could be separated. And what I mean by that is basically the states, as are using right now, actually, they control money, basically, right? So they control how do you spend, how do you transact, how much you can withdraw from your bank. So actually, your money is not your money. So with these technologies, and in combination with other ones, what I will talk later, are basically separating a state from money. So I always joke with my friends, in history we see, for example, state and church were always, one piece. So it was really, really corrupt empires and countries and nations that were controlling pretty much everything. Then we saw that a state got separated from church, at least in some nations, and it became a little bit better. It's still corrupt and it's still controlling the money. But now with the Bitcoin on the blockchain, we're seeing basically a state is separating from money. And eventually that will continue to happen and is unstoppable, in my belief. Sorry. So that's basically the main thing here that I wanted to talk to you is that money is becoming decentralized, obviously, and free from state. So obviously that freaks out states because they want to control that, because that's a huge piece of the world and the game per se. But at the end, I guess they shouldn't be afraid, because in a more philosophical way, because they should collaborate and bring this innovation, not kill it, right? It's okay to regulate, it's okay to take out the scammers, we don't want that, but at the end, they shouldn't be killing the innovation, otherwise obviously the innovation will go to another place, and the cash and the capital will, pretty much leave the country, right? So that's quite important. So what I believe is going to happen this 2018 in the crypto world, well, this year is key for the decentralized exchanges. And why I say that? Because we need more decentralized exchanges for bringing more volume to these kind of entities, and also crypto to crypto. Again, why is that? Because if we do it crypto to fiat, again, we are trusting one part of the process in a third party, in the fiat, in the system. So again, obviously, we cannot right now say no crypto to fiat, but down the road, it should be only crypto to crypto, because obviously you have all decentralized, and will be more tokens as well. So we have right now like hundreds of tokens, thousands of tokens. I believe will be more and more and more. From, let's say, a token for the school of your kids that are going to make a project, from, a token that will use the government of China to transact oil purchases, for example. So I believe it will be more and more tokens, because we are now in an evolutionary state of the cryptocurrencies. So a lot of them will die. We will have a few ones down the road, but this is needed, this kind of innovation, this kind of experiments, and more ICOs and more projects, good projects, obviously, with good solutions, in order to filter and clean the process and the system down the road. So that's basically key in this space. Obviously, ICO has been last year the main topic, the new way of funding. So new kind of organizations will be created from now. Obviously, this is already happening, and it will continue to happen. And society will act differently, because the way people work, interact, will be more in a decentralized way. You will pay your coffee with crypto. You will earn only crypto. So I guess my advice would be, because right now people that owns Bitcoin or Ethereum, they're not really expanding those cryptocurrencies. They're basically holding it, speculating, waiting to go up. But I guess the better for the economy would be to use more of the crypto in a daily basis, that you pay your expenses in crypto, you earn crypto, and that will become a healthier ecosystem, right? Because not only holding it, right now everyone is in the storage position and value position, no? So that's key, and basically, I believe crypto markets will reach at some point a $1 trillion market. So that's key. It's going to happen. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but that's going to happen, and all assets that are in the world right now will be tokenized to some extent. Obviously, with better blockchains, faster and scalable, but that will happen. So that's pretty much my view of how do I see the following years, perhaps, with more tokens, and also, obviously, there is a lot of volatility right now with the crypto market. That is really not the idea, because you cannot have these cryptocurrencies as a unit of value, because, I mean, they are valuable, but it's so volatile that people are not using them so much. So on the other hand, they told me, guys that are outside the industry, like, no, Bitcoin is really volatile, and Ethereum, I don't like that. But at the end, so many currencies in the world, fiat currencies, or very poor countries, or corrupt countries, these currencies are more volatile. Actually, I'm from Venezuela, and Venezuela has been having inflation insane, so it's actually more volatile than Bitcoin, ironically. So those kind of examples, for example, for countries that want to adopt cryptocurrencies, I believe down the road will be the path to go, cashless societies. That is already happening, for example, in Sweden, or you have Estonia example that they are doing the whole country digital. So that kind of improvement will help the ecosystem as well. But I guess it won't be like a government creating the currency in the digital platform and controlling it. I guess the idea is here more an individual approach to make this kind of advancement. So that's also the other key thing. Anyway, if you, I don't know if you have any questions related to, yeah. Yeah, so basically I'm going to say the question. I just didn't hear it because he's asking me, I was talking about state and money getting separated thanks to the Bitcoin, which already happened. And now these new trends of countries adopting cryptocurrencies or even creating their own cryptocurrencies, such as the case of Venezuela. So obviously, I'm all in nations down the road going on the blockchain, going crypto, supporting crypto. When I mentioned the thing about state and money is basically how the financial system has been changing the last years, because actually Bitcoin was completely separated innovation from governments. Now, I do believe that governments should be in the forefront to adopt these technologies, but also leave a space to innovation. What is happening to Venezuela is really tricky because obviously they have to avoid sanctions and they have to create this kind of mechanism. But sadly, I mean, I don't see that the project is bad per se in the technology or the way they want to handle it. Sadly, Venezuela is a really corrupt government and it's pretty much driven by narcos, so they want to money launder using the technology. So, I mean, it has goods and pros and cons in that. So, a country like Sweden, Estonia, a serious country, and being the forefront in that technology is fine. But using that for money laundering, for the narcos, I don't believe that would be the path to go. Obviously, in their position, they are trying to escape the sanctions and transact in other coin. But again, as mentioned, it's quite dark there, what is happening. Yeah, I don't know if anyone has other questions related in that space, or should be fine. Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm just going to recap the question because it's interesting. He's basically mentioned me how do the states will basically operate without cash or without money, non-crypto, right? Something like that. So, and basically, these new technologies will emerge into a new model of the state, I guess. Governments, I believe, are now in a position really uncomfortable because it could be quite radical to say that governments are going to disappear right now, but eventually they have to change the model for themselves as well, because when you see cash or the fiat currency as we have it right now, obviously it's also quite messy and dark, the way they produce the money, and it's basically not so backed up as it was before. I mean, the cash has been functioning the last 1,000 of years, so I don't see why not cryptocurrencies could replace that old system without disappearing the government per se. But they have to be really, really smart to step away and allow the society to work in a different manner. Not only the crypto, but as you mentioned, in the digital space, like Estonia or cashless society. I mean, cashless society will happen for sure, really, really soon, not related only to crypto. But again, I believe that's a good question. I believe might be disappearing or changing the way they act, because in traditional economy, the more the state involves, the worse the economy. So they are not a good administrator. So I believe if they step aside and allow this crypto environment, it could be a healthier one for everyone. So yeah, that's a really good point. Sure. Yeah. Okay, you and mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I was going to add to the question before. The way to go is like countries adopting cryptocurrencies as well, or creating their own crypto for their environment. Basically that. So changing the fiat into a digital money of the country, or crypto. Not necessarily Bitcoin or Ethereum, their own crypto, as I was mentioning, like Venezuela is trying to accomplish, but hopefully in a better, more positive way, adopting a cryptocurrency. For sure, that's the way to go, to collect taxes, to, as you mentioned, build roads, everything. I mean, build the economy. But the economy is shifting from that model to the new one. But right now, governments are seeing that as a threat instead of opportunity to, okay, let's change all from scratch and let me help you, right? Instead of killing the, I'm talking about the good entrepreneurs, not the scammers. So yeah, that will be the path to go. Countries adopting or creating their own cryptocurrencies within the blockchain, even a faster one. We don't?
State government, the California state government, does all this without printing money. So similar to state governments, will countries become like that they won't have the capability to print the money, but they can still collect taxes and provide all facilities? Is that how the future will look like?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
So today, state government, California state government, it collects taxes, and in turn, it provides us a lot of facilities. In future, will countries stop having the ability to print money, use crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever, and collect taxes in that and provide facilities, but do not have the ability to just print their own currency? Is that how the future will look like?
I mean, when we start seeing, that's a good question. When we start seeing, I will repeat the question, but when you start seeing countries creating their own blockchain and their own cryptocurrency, they will have a demand, supply demand, right? And that will have a value under time. I guess down the road, but that's still way to go, should be like that. I mean, it should be why you need to print money if you have a super technology supporting the system, right? That's my view. I might be wrong, but why not? Yeah.
So that's not very encouraging for me to hear. I almost feel I should leave. Why are we here in this conference if at the end of the day, all we recognize is instead of money, we go Bitcoin? Like there is no novelty coming out to me as to why this craze is there for ICO and Bitcoin and everything. If at the end of the day, we recognize that we remove fiat and change it to some other digital, and the government still works, and the taxes still get collected, and everyone is happy. So this is just a noise, and things will settle down.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm up for the technology. I mean, that's my point of view. I might be wrong, but I believe if the technology is great and you can get better, I'm not promoting or doing only ICO way only. I'm a huge believer in the blockchain per se. So what happens to that could be fascinating, because not only money, I mean, that was one example, but pretty much all the industries will be affected by blockchain. Logistic, retail, supply chain, IoT, obviously all industries will be transformed, and government has to be in the same direction, because that will be really complicated, seeing the government, no, I want to keep fiat, that doesn't work, and the whole world is shifting. So that's my point of view. I might be wrong. I'm not only encouraging crypto or Bitcoin per se. I just mentioned Bitcoin because it was the first example. That's it. I know it's not perfect, so yeah.
Your question about the State Department. In the United States, we have a lot of resources that we can expend, expel, and do whatever we want. We have large federal departments to enforce those. In a lot of other countries, they don't have those things. So they're strapped in those resources. So that's why some of the first forms of digital trade was cell phone minutes they would use, and likewise. So it's not that the United States government will all of a sudden disappear. It's that new governments can form using the blockchain and using these currencies. New services and otherwise can be enforced using smart contracts. So if you don't have a SEC, you could kind of build one, so to speak, on top of the blockchain. And that allows a new creation of a new kind of government. So the innovations in blockchain, this is partly why the US is against a lot of this stuff. It's not necessarily going to happen here. And you're not really seeing it happen here. You're seeing it happen everywhere else. So.
Exactly, yeah, that's a good point what you're mentioning, because that's pretty much it. I mean, use the technology to totally transform the way the government reacts within the smart contract, etc. That will be it. Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Very much.